All right, reading settings. There's a couple of different options here for not only reading your blog, but also feed reading with RSS and syndication. So, for the most part, most people want to be able to show the latest posts on the home page of their blogs. But for some smaller blogs or some people that maybe want to show the same information to everyone who first enters the site, maybe you want to display a static page, and that's a single page of your choosing. So what you want to do is you want to select a page that you want them to always see, and no matter who comes in, it will always show the about or whatever page you select on the home page. So also, if you're in the blog pages show at most however many that you want to show. If you use a lot of excerpts, if you use a lot of summaries with small things, maybe you want to show more to people, or maybe you want to show less because you have full text, you can change that right here. Also, the syndication feeds show the most recent. A lot of times, I will actually put a higher number in here because I want anybody, whoever's reading my feed, I want them to be able to see more posts and have access to more content. So I will actually put that at a higher number. But if you're using a feed for something of your choosing, sometimes you maybe want to put that at a lower number. And also, there's also a feed section here that says for each article in a feed, show full text or the summary. If you select the summary, it will first choose the excerpt, and that's where the excerpt comes into play in this instance for your blog posting. So if you're choosing and writing an excerpt, and whenever a feed is displayed, it will actually pull from that excerpt. Next, it will pull the text up to the read more, and then if there's no read more, it'll just pull up to a certain amount of text to show. So if you wanted to use excerpts to show maybe something a little bit different to your feed people, you can do that with a summary versus full text. And for encoding, UTF is pretty universal, so just go ahead and keep it at that. And that's it for reading. Okay, discussion settings. Discussion settings is actually all of your comment moderation and your commenting settings. We're not going to go over every single one of these here because a lot of them are actually very self-explanatory, but then we're going to go over a couple things in here. First of all, the one thing I do want to touch on is the one thing that it's one of the very few things that they actually do not leave checked when you first install a blog, and that is an administrator must always approve a comment. Many instances you actually do want to approve your comments in the beginning or maybe even later, but they don't check that. So sometimes if you're not careful, some things will slide through that you don't want on there, such as derogatory or negative comments. After a while, after comment moderation becomes a full-time job because you get a lot of comments on there, you maybe want to leave that unchecked. Your comment moderation lines, these are all the words and phrases that you want, if you see them in comments, that you want them held in moderation. Sometimes derogatory comments or obscenity of some sort and something like that that you may want to put in here to say, well, before I really let that go to the general public of my blog readers, I want to go ahead and make sure that that's okay. And another one would be your comment blacklist. These are the things that you know would be spam, adult content, or maybe scam content or something like that that you know does not pertain to your blog. You can put those here. You can also, don't forget, put email addresses and IPs that you see in the comments section. So if you find that one person keeps spamming your blog over and over again, they'll automatically be marked as spam if you put their IP address, which is available in the comments section. And down here is just your avatar section, the little pictures that show up next to each commenter if the theme has it enabled. Basically, you can show them which one that they want to generate. Some that, if you have maybe a little bit more adult-oriented blog, you maybe have something PGR, or given if it's your thing, you can have something that's even an X-rated or higher. I would advise against that unless you have a warning in the beginning of your site, because it will get you in trouble otherwise. So, and you can also show not to show avatars at all. So that pretty much does it for the comments section. If you have any other things that you had questions on, you can just look at them there. They're pretty self-explanatory. All right, permalinks. This is actually a very, very big one that's used all the time, but not many people really know how to use it. Basically what this does is changes the URL to something a little bit more spider friendly and a little bit more user friendly for people to be able to link to on your blog, and people to be able to see on your blog, and for the spiders to be able to eat keywords off of in your blog. The common settings that they say are actually really not that common. Day and name, month and name, numeric. A lot of people actually really don't use that. a lot of people will actually use a custom structure, but it's a little bit more complicated for some to use if you don't know what they are. So what you can do to change it is you can either just select your different one and you can hit Save Changes, or you can use a custom structure altogether. And what you can do is you can use the tags that are available, and there's a link right here that show you exactly what tags there are, and it shows you these right here. Anything from category to post name to post ID to the date, many different things that are available. So a very common one is the category structure followed by the post name structure. Um, you just simply enter category, a forward slash, and then the post name tag, and then anything that you want after it. I put an HTML in there. It makes some hackers a little bit harder to tell that you're using WordPress because it doesn't say PHP after it. Just different things along those lines. You can put whatever you want in there. You can put a forward slash. You can put nothing at all. You can even put extra keywords in there if you want to, and it will still recognize it. So it's a very, very handy structure to use. One other thing I wanted to touch on was this optional section down here. By default, if they're browsing a category and showing all the posts, up in the URL it'll just show the category. But if you want something to come before that category, such as a targeted keyword or something like that, it's a certain thing that you want to show before the actual category name in your URL, you can put it here. So let's say if you wanted to put categories, and everything that'll show up after that will be the actual category, but it'll actually put that extra category keyword in there, or whatever keyword that you show. Same thing with the tags. If you wanted to put my tags, then and any other tags that will show after that, and it'll give a little bit more logical structure to your URLs. That pretty much does it for permalink settings. Now on to the next section. Alright, a couple final miscellaneous settings that you maybe want to look at that isn't for everybody, but it might be for you, is actually in the uploading section. Whenever you're uploading files, sometimes you don't want things such as protected content or maybe secretive content and stuff like that to just be easily guessed in a certain folder. So what you can do is you can specify an alternate folder in this box here. Also, another thing is that as you start to accumulate, months and years worth of content, by default, WordPress will organize all of your uploads into month and year-based folders. So as you accumulate maybe 4 years worth of uploads, you're going to have 4 years, and then each of these years is going to have 12 months, and then there's going to be each individual file. And that gets pretty folder intensive after a while. If that's not your method of organization, you can uncheck it and it'll just put everything into a bulk folder, and that makes it a lot easier for backup purposes and download purposes. So that's something you may want to consider, but isn't necessarily for everybody. And that about does it for the miscellaneous settings. Okay, media. This is actually a pretty large section, and I wanted to cover it all together because basically it really darts around back and forth a lot between what you have to do and what the different settings are in order to implement your media properly. Media is basically all of your photos, images, videos, audio, anything like that that you would consider multimedia. However, your media is not just limited to those individual things. You can also upload zip files, PDF files, and other such things and attach them to your post much the same way that you do with your photos and other multimedia. And that's actually a lot of things that's something that not a lot of people really know about and therefore don't really fully utilize. So basically, it's pretty straightforward. Your media library is basically going to look a lot like all your other things, such as your editing posts and your editing users and stuff like that once you get media into it. So in order to add new media, obviously you can go under the media and hit Add New or Add New button next to the title. And it's going to give you an uploader to select. So you click Select Files, and we're going to go to an individual folder, and we're actually going to start with an image. And it's going to automatically upload it, and it's going to crunch it for optimization for the web automatically for you, so you don't have to do that. Also, you're going to have the ability to put in title, alternate text, caption, a description if necessary. This is really good for search engines. And you're also going to be able to edit your image on the fly inside of WordPress. You're also, once again, not going to need to use an image editor. If you wanted to maybe say flip it horizontally, vertically, or anything along those lines, you can do that within here. You can flip it just like that. You can also scale the image, you can crop the image, you can maintain its aspect ratio. All that stuff can be done right inside of WordPress. It's a very handy tool to use. So once you're done making your changes, you can hit Save All Changes, and that automatically completes that. And so now you have this thing, looks a lot like all the others. And you can also add new things as necessary. Now in this one, we're going to actually add a PDF instead, say loan information. And we're going to add that, and it's going to have a PDF available for you to use. So now that's in there available. So not just images and multimedia, but any file that you want to. Now you're going to want to insert it into a post. So you're going to go to Add New Posts. Up here above your standard bar, your rich text editor bar, you're going to have your multimedia uploads. It's under Upload Insert, and you have different things: image and video and audio, and then media. So for this example, we're just going to use the image. We're going to go up here to Media Library, or you can upload right there on the fly, just like you did from your media. Or if you wanted to hot link something, you can do it straight from a URL. So from another website, for example. So you can do it right there. So we're going to go to our media library. We're going to select this thing that we uploaded, and we're going to have the ability to do a couple things here. We can once again edit it right then and there. We can insert a thumbnail version of it, or the actual full size or a medium version of it, and that way we can save space on our blog, especially if it's so big it starts to break the theme. And what we can do is we can put the thumbnail in, and we can have a couple of different options here. The link URL can go to either the full file, which is the image, or let's say the PDF or something like that, or just the post URL, which is basically the attachment to that individual post. So you can click that, and it'll go in there, and it'll actually show you a special page that will only show that attachment. So it's a very handy thing, especially if your theme utilizes it. You hit Insert into Post, File URL, and it'll automatically insert it for you. After, let's say if you want to make edits or changes to it, you can click on this little edit, or if you want to remove it entirely, you can click delete, and it'll do that all automatically for you. It's a very handy tool, and you can use this with just about anything, like I said, including PDFs and including other media as well. Any files apply. One last thing I wanted to do is quickly go over the media settings. If you just go to Settings and Media, you can set a couple of standards for your media settings, such as your embed size, your thumbnail size for your images and stuff like that. And that's in case if the ones that are default for WordPress aren't the ones that you want for your particular blog. If you find yourself always resizing the width of your thumbnails, you can always adjust that right here automatically. And that pretty much does it for media. Alright, well, you pretty much went over everything that you needed to do to be a full-fledged advanced WordPress user. Now you know pretty much everything inside and out, where everything goes and where everything belongs. But I figured I would let you know about a couple other things that not many people know that WordPress actually has built into it, and sometimes we'll either use a plugin to use or didn't really know that it was a really nifty shortcut and things like that. So I thought I would go over some of those with you. There's always a lot more than that, and there's sometimes even things that are undocumented inside of WordPress that are little hidden features that are available to you. So we'll go over some of the ones that are a little bit more neat, and some are a little bit more obvious, and some of them are not. First thing I'm going to go over is in the tools section. It's called it's some of these simple tools, and one of these is the gears. What gears is basically it's something that Google used that allowed people to speed up their websites. Basically, if you installed gears into your browser onto your site, it'll make your site for you go very, very fast, and that'll really speed up things such as posting and stuff like that. So what you can do is you can enable gears. The next thing there's a really nifty tool to use. It's called Press This. It's a bookmarklet, and what it does is that if you have Press This enabled on your bookmark section, and you're on a site and you can highlight a piece of text, what it'll do is it'll automatically take you to your Add New Post section with the title of the page in there and the content on the page automatically in your post. So no need to copy and paste or download or anything like that. If you find something worth noting that you want to put on your blog, you simply highlight the text on the website that you're on, click the press list bookmarklet, and it will automatically go to your blog for you. It makes posting news and things like that much, much faster and much easier to use. Okay, another thing that WordPress does that a lot of people actually don't know about and or use plugins to do is that it will automatically embed all it'll attempt to embed anyway all plain text URLs. So for example, if I wanted to post, let's say, a YouTube video into my site, I can click on add new post, and I wanted to put a video on here. Well, a lot of times people will use a plugin to put a YouTube video in there. And I have a fun little one here that I wanted to post on my site because I thought it'd be really neat. And so what I'll do is I'll just put the plain text in there and I'll hit published. And then if I view my post, it automatically embeds it for me. No need to put in embed code, no need to switch over editors, no need to do anything like that. I put the URL in and it'll automatically do it for me. So that's a neat little feature that not a lot of people really know about and don't really utilize as a result. So that's something that you can really use that'll be really good for you. Another great feature is the gallery feature. A lot of people don't know this, but WordPress actually will make a gallery for you. A lot of people will use plugins to do this and other things like that, but it can make video and audio and video and photo galleries automatically for you. Over here under the media library, there's this little thing called attach to, and a lot of people say, well, I don't know really what that means, and I guess after I put it in my post, it becomes attached to that, so it's an attachment, and so that's pretty much where they leave it. But if you attach this, let's say to a post that we have, let's search for one. Let's say sample video, and I wanted to select that, and that's going to attach this for me. Now if I actually go to the post, sample video, and I enter a short code, and a short code is basically a special code that allows WordPress to convert things automatically for you, and it's called gallery, and it's built into WordPress automatically. This will convert all of my pages, all of my pictures and images that I have put and attached to this post into a special gallery for me. And so I hit update, and suddenly this appears here. This wide frame with a photo on it and a camera. Now if you want to, you can click this and it says edit gallery, and then this gallery link shows up. You can edit the order that your images are in, if they're thumbnails or not, and different items such as that. If you have multiple images, you can show how many columns that they're in. You can do a wide variety of things with the gallery, and not many people know that that even exists within WordPress. A lot of people use plugins to do it and things along those lines. So that's actually built into WordPress for you to use immediately. Another interesting feature that's more of a shortcut than anything else that a lot of people really don't know about, or at least don't utilize even if they do know about it, is the fact that you can use keyboard shortcuts just like you do in your actual text editors in real life. So let's say if I wanted to bold something, I can highlight it and hit Control+B, and I can bold my text. If you wanted to find out what each things are, if you hover over it, you can hit the keyboard shortcut that's displayed right there. So if you wanted to add different things, you can use keyboard shortcuts instead of having to stop what you're doing and then go up and select the appropriate thing. This is actually a very useful shortcut if you use a lot of rich text formatting inside of your posts. One last thing that I wanted to show that was kind of a neat little feature that not everybody knew about was that you didn't have to always go into your database sometimes if you wanted to pull certain things out of it. A lot of times you can find some hidden things in there or stuff that plugins have left behind that may sometimes be a security vulnerability or something like that, such as Amazon S3 secret keys and stuff like that, that if you've uninstalled the plugin, it still leaves behind. So one thing you can do is up in your URL, I'll go ahead and I'll drag this down for you. If up here, if you want to, you type in options.php, which is not actually able to be accessed by any sort of link inside of WordPress. You actually have to type that in manually. Click on it. It'll bring up your entire options table for you. It'll show you all the different options that you have in here that may have been left behind by either WordPress or maybe by even a plugin. And a lot of plugins will use this option table to store its information. So you can sometimes find some different info in here that you may want to clean out or something like that that might not be something you want to either leave in there or something along those lines. So it's just a little quirky back-end thing that you're not always going to use, but sometimes it can come in real handy for you. And that's pretty much it for the small tips for now. There's always a ton more that are out there, and if I ever find any more, I'll be sure to be able to post for future videos about it. So all right, thank you very much. This pretty much does it for all the videos, and if you have any questions or something, don't forget to email me or contact me. So thank you very much.